While going through menopause, my gynecologist asked, "Are you experiencing mood swings?" "Yes, but I'm a screenwriter." She laughed empathetically and said, "Honey, that's not hormonal. That's the nature of the business." I thought about this as I processed the email from the theater company who told me they would only consider my play if it was sent by a manager or an agent. I sighed frustrated. At least I had a response versus other solicitations that went unanswered. The play just had an emotional high off-Broadway run, but that wasn't enough to get another theater company to read the script to consider producing it. I needed a representative to validate me, and none would. It was the final mood swing low nail in the coffin. As you heard, while I had written and produced several successful independent films that had streamed on major platforms, as a middle-aged woman who wrote comedic stories mostly through the lens of motherhood, I was invisible to Hollywood. No agent nor manager would consider me, since to them I was too old. I'd faced my fair share of conscious and unconscious gendered ageism. When I wrote the play, I said to myself, don't write this as a movie. My last film, a sweet movie called Pooling to Paradise, had been anything but paradise. I had a legal action with the director, the sales agent was a verbally abusive asshole, and the distributor unethical. On a previous film, I took a distributor to a small claims court to get our royalty payment, and my first film, licensed to Warner Brothers, overcharged expenses. Glamorous, right? Welcome to Hollywood. After roughly 20 years of making movies and identifying as a filmmaker, I was done being David to their Goliath. I had no desire to scale that steep mountain anymore. I had no new big story to tell, nor desire to face the mostly rejection letters written by readers younger than my children should I write something new. I was lucky that my play was produced by someone I knew, but sadly, he wasn't producing any more movies. While I was in my early 60s, leisure scared me. I didn't want to throw myself into the worlds of ladies who lunch, pickleball, and God forbid, golf. Not that there's anything wrong with those pursuits. But what was my next chapter? How would I now self-identify? I initially took an aerial arts class because I thought it would be a fun essay to write about since I was dabbling in memoir. I had written an occasional unusual midlife essay like when I art modeled, you know what that is, in my mid-50s, and the time I attended a sex party. It's a good one. Aerial arts include various circus disciplines that include silks, trapeze, and the aerial hoop, also known as the lyra, which was the apparatus that I chose. Like many, my first exposure was Cirque du Soleil, but it's also a very popular performance art in downtown New York. After attending one of those shows, I decided to give it a shot. Why not? I wasn't good at it. It did not come naturally. It wasn't that wave I got up for the first time at all. I became incredibly nauseous from the slowest of spins and being upside down. Yes, I have thrown up. There is no mind over that matter, just FYI. But I was determined to keep at it. I don't know why, but I've learned to trust internal gut callings. It was a fun new challenge, even though I had many obstacles to overcome. You see, it's actually aerial dance. Did I mention I have zero dance training? And I cannot follow the most basic of choreography. I was always the person in the back of the Zumba class. It's like they're going this way and I'm going that way. But that said, I've played sports since I was a little girl. Fortunately, I'm innately strong, an important component, but my jock body is tight and flexibility is also essential. When the studio I train at announced the student showcase, I impulsively signed up. Wait, what did I just do? There had to be method to the madness. Suffering serious imposter syndrome since I was a solid beginner, in the first performance rehearsal, our coach said the most important part of the act is storytelling. I relaxed. Okay, substance over style. I chose to do a Queen mashup, a fun little burlesque bit where I went from Killer Queen to Freddie Mercury performing Don't Stop Me Now. I definitely caught the attention of a lot of the much younger performers who were more ballerinas in the air. That's when I started to have my first aha moment. I realized it was more than just a placeholder hobby, but it was a new chapter in my life. 2 years in, I've now done a handful of amateur shows, and it's become a new way for me to tell stories, a new creative high. Then my inner producer awakened. Once a producer, always a producer, right? 2 years in, I've produced and performed in shows around themes like aerialist over 50, and doing that again in a couple of weeks, and mental health. Both shows struck a chord, and other producers are bringing them back for a second year. Validation I never got in the movie business. I found a way to fuse my lifelong passion for storytelling with my newfound passion for aerial. I also became part of supportive, accepting, diverse community of aerialist colleagues of all ages, something hard to find in the movie business. I was itching to create a new show, something more ambitious, something more scripted. I'd written a memoir essay about my inner Maenad, the wild women from Euripides' play The Bacchae, and used it as a prompt to create a larger piece, a hybrid circus stage play about the dangerous women of ancient Greece reclaiming their stories, like Medea, Medusa, and Circe, through their own voices. When I opened the screenwriting software app that I thought I had retired, that's when I had my true aha moment. I felt giddy that Ariel not only gave me a new identity, but it brought me back to the voice I thought I had lost. It was a high to write the script and then produce the show. Circus is a gentler world than traditional theater and film. A circus show is a lot less risky investment since the budget is much lower than traditional theater and easier to recoup. I partnered with an established choreographer, producer, and together we cast some of New York's best performers. It's been a thrill to transform my body in my 60s from clod jock to a more graceful athlete. Against the odds, I've gotten stronger and more flexible. I can now do 10 pull-ups, like real pull-ups, and closer to, well, actually, I just did my first split. When I wrote this, I hadn't. I did my first Barbie split in my life. And I'm learning to do handstands and succeed in challenging Instagram calisthenic challenges. Yeah, I'm that crazy person. I'm known as the strong one by my much younger classmates, which always makes me laugh inside. So for now, I feel ageless. The lesson I've learned and want to share: age should not inhibit your dreams. Myths and odds can be overcome, and it's more about surprising yourself than proving something to others. But that said, it's also inspiring and satisfying to inspire others of all ages. We need to be the wise elders and be positive role models to inspire the next generation. Several younger aerialists have said, "I want to be you when I'm older." Don't let the impossible impede, because you may discover that the impossible is possible. Follow and trust your instincts. We are too old for regrets. But it can't be done without hard work, patience, and accepting that it takes failure to succeed. And failure can lead to your next aha moment. I would do a cartwheel down the aisle, but I will not.